Is there intelligent alien life? And if so, has the government been covering it up?
What's going on, everyone? Thanks for stopping by to the channel tonight. We've got a pretty fun one for you. So I was scrolling through Twitter like normal adults do these days and found a pretty cool thread on a statue made out of an igneous stone. It is of Pharaoh Ramesses II. And I think there's some pretty, can't really negotiate the evidence, I think, behind how it was made or lack of understanding of how it was made. So we are going to do a deep dive into that today. Chris, Stezo, how are you gentlemen doing tonight?
Good, man.
All right, man. How are you?
Doing well.
Right, it is nice to be back. It definitely is nice to be back.
Yeah, we've been taking a little hiatus here for a minute there. My fault, but I found this great one the other night, posted it, and figured we could get a lot out of it. So this is the face of the statue, or the head, and we'll kind of just go through each of these different points. So again, it's allegedly it was made in 1279 to 1213 BC. Now we did our own kind of just digging. That's not so. This is basically the New Kingdom of Egypt. And they're in the Bronze Age, right? So they're using copper and bronze tools, and I mean, it wouldn't be completely out of the ordinary to be able to chisel away at stone. But we're going to get into the kind of the different Mohs hardness levels of the different types of stones that they were using, like granite and this one's kind of hard to pronounce, but Granodiorite. Yeah, I think I'm saying that right. Granodiorite. But regardless, so this, I mean, the statue itself is impressive. It stands at 5 feet tall. So, that's not like, we're not talking the size of the Sphinx here, but just the level of detail alone, I think kind of goes to show kind of.
It's impressive, man. It's impressive.
Yeah, exactly. Now, what's going on here? So yeah, this is the type of stone that it was made out of. Granodiorite. It's an igneous rock similar to granite. Was chosen for its durability and its aesthetic appeal, which once it's refined down to that statue, it's pretty. It's like a nice deep black. It's a pretty beautiful looking stone. Yeah. But the importance is the hardness, and I think it sits right at the same level as granite as well. So I'm going to just scroll down because this is really what we wanted to kind of talk about here, which is important to consider, right? So you have diamond at the top and talc at the bottom. So any number lower on the scale can't cut above on the scale, if I'm explaining that correctly. Essentially, amethyst can't cut into topaz. A knife, glass plate, or copper can't cut into steel. And
fingernails can't cut into pearl.
And this is important because we were talking about, copper and bronze tools being used around 1279, right? The 1250 BC area. And when you have a stone like granodiorite, right here, you can see the quick properties and facts. Mohs hardness is a 6 to a 7. So you can pretty much guarantee that when looking at a scale like this, bronze is probably around the 3.5, I think. Not, in fact, let's just do a quick Google. Bronze.
I think you're right. It's around.
Yeah,
3,
I think
4.
it is the 3.5 hardness. Oh, I think I had it pulled up actually. All right. Yep, I did have it pulled up. Yeah, bronze is on a 3, and this isn't just some like Google search. This is from a legitimate metal website. So I just wanted to paint that picture for all you folks listening. That when you're sitting around here at the 3.5, you're not going to be able to cut up, right? So how the hell did they get this carved?
Right.
And it's
Using
one of the
copper and
arguments.
bronze tools.
Yeah, it's one of the arguments that's constantly being told. Oh, well, we don't see any of these tools lying around anymore. And they're I just think we don't know how. I want to make that very clear. We don't know how this is made, and this is proof that we don't know how, because when you're dealing, like, this is just hard fact at this point. It's hard fact and it's science. You're not going to beat that out. I just don't see it.
Yeah, it's one of those things where enough evidence has been, continuously brought forward to where that just the regular old mainstream story of the tools they used, copper or bronze, it just doesn't make sense. And you could tell them 50 different ways, but it doesn't really add up. Especially that level of quality, that level of detail, the type of stone. It just it's kind of hard to believe.
Yeah, definitely. Steezo, you got anything to chime in on?
No, I was just looking at the hardness scale, and it blows my mind about how if it had to cut through that hardness of a material with using something that was not hard, as hard to do that. And I mean, even if you added like strength, and we're only talking like human strength, not like mechanical strength, it should dull out the bronze blade or break it, crack it or ruin it more before it even do any sort of damage to the stone.
Yeah, essentially you might be able to get a scratch out of it, but even then, I don't think that would be possible. You wouldn't be able to take a solid, like a solid block, right, and make that.
Yeah.
No.
Like copper tool. Like you're
details.
I mean, look at what
some of the detail across his some of the detail across his chest is wild too.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Yeah, the little ridges right here.
Yeah, bro, it's crazy.
I mean,
and to cut the scepter, too.
Come on. Taking that, except
right,
10 times larger, and turning it into this with copper tools, you're not going to be able to do that.
Too much. And look how good
the face,
the grooves, like it's straight lines. It's not all jaggedy and stuff. Like so, like the tools had to be like always sharp. They always it had to be something that was like stronger than that material to cut into and to go down it. It's like if you get a butter knife, you can cut through butter, right? But if the butter knife isn't as strong as like the butter, how are you going to cut straight through the butter and make like little slices and stuff as perfect like you're cutting through butter?
If you scroll down, there's a picture of a detail on the chest. It's crazy, man, how perfectly uniform it is. Yeah, right there. Go back up. Right there.
I mean, they haven't got the navel indentation.
Like, look, just the it's crazy, bro. That's wild.
Like this is one of those ones where if you go into it trying to be skeptical, it's going to be really easy for you to just pass this off as, oh, well, we just don't know that information yet, but there's nothing too crazy about this, right? Like they, but it's like, how are you going to sit there and ignore like the whole Mohs scale, right? And the hardness scale, like I that's pretty irrefutable in my opinion.
Yeah,
when those same people use that excuse that, we just don't know the information or what they used. Why aren't we figuring it out? What's stopping us from
precisely? And so they talk about it pretty much here too, right? That copper has a Mohs hardness of around 3.5. This makes cutting granodiorite impossible. So I mean, I think it is interesting looking at this image, though.
Just using like the tools. Look how small the tools are in their hands. Like, there's just no way.
You know what? They didn't have the technology to paint it correctly, but there's actually supposed to be lasers shooting out of each one of them.
Right. You're actually right.
It's a laser. It's a laser head.
Yeah,
it's a laser
exactly. It's a laser head drill bit. All of it.
That's what I thought when I saw it.
Yeah. And then this is also pretty interesting too. The final touch, this final touch gave the sculpture its smooth, gleaming surface. Now, I did try to play a little bit with Grok because I looked up on Google first and tried to find some indication as to how you would polish this, and they're at this time period, and I couldn't find quite literally one thing about it. Now, I'm sure there are like I don't have access to world libraries, you know, where you could probably find information about that during this time in this region. But I did do a quick little just Grok search. Ask them, you know, asked how would you polish granite in 1250 BC? And you know, so number 4 here states for a polished sheen, finer abrasives like powdered quartz or even silt from riverbeds could be used. You'd rub the granite with a handheld stone or a piece of wood wrapped in leather, applying a fine abrasive mixed with the water. This step could take days or weeks, depending, probably months. Let's be realistic back then, depending on the size of the piece. And so I just wanted to offer that because there is an explanation, like a logical explanation that you could come up with. And I don't think that the polishing is as impressive as how they actually were able to cut the stone to make it look like that.
The level of detail, yeah.
But it is possible, the polishing. I was just sitting here like, what would the process actually look like, you know? And I guess you would just have a bunch of slaves sitting there and, you know, rubbing away at this fucking statue.
A whole lot of hand polishing.
That's step C. What were steps A and B? That's what I want to know. So compared with other sculptures of its time, the statue face is quite realistic. Breaking with tradition, it features real sockets and eyelids for eyes, a large nose, and a proportionally small mouth. This level of detail was a revolutionary artistic choice for its time. And just all reality, it was hard to find comparisons to show as example. I'm going to, I guess, take their word for it. It doesn't sound like a crazy thing this person is stating. Do you guys have any opinion on that?
No, not really.
Yeah, it's a little difficult to pull up. Okay,
I was just looking at the detail of the headdress. It's wild too, man. The detail is so intricate.
So he's just talking about the headgear here. It's kind of unimportant to what we were discussing. But I mean, yeah, dude, just look at the level of detail on that, and the edges too, like the arm, the crease of the arm. You know, like
you know what's crazy about it too, though, and you look at like the carving or the statue itself, and if you scroll up, like just the next one up there, compared to say like the painting, no, the one you had before,
at that headdress.
Side by side. The painting doesn't look like it was a lot more elementary or not as detailed than as say carvings and statues. You know what I mean? So for the time,
that's also a very good point. How can you carve stone better than paint?
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. That's a really good point. It's kind of wild.
Because I would figure painting on stone would be a hell of a lot easier than carving stone.
He's got some nasty looking feet.
Yeah, they're still pretty damn detailed though.
Are those size 16s? No,
those are definitely 16s. That makes a lot of sense now that you mention it. He probably couldn't find shoes either, or sandals.
They couldn't find sandals. Yeah,
bro.
So this one, Chris, I know you were interested with this point, or Stezo, is it you that you're talking about that? Yeah. This, I'm just all transparency. I don't even know what this chart, like what I'm looking at in this chart, but essentially what they're trying to explain up here is that the statue underwent a thorough examination using microgeophysics and geomatics. This cutting-edge analysis revealed internal fracturing conditions. So, Stezo, I liked your explanation of this. Could you run through it again?
Yeah. So what I was just like coming up with based on what that was trying to say is there would be like stress fractures inside the stones or whatever, basically. from like impact or some sort of like just pressure, because it is stone, and that the fractures and stuff would just basically be like whether it was done by vibrations, and I don't think that it necessarily could you explain that due to the hammer and the chiseling, but some sort of device that they actually used, whether I mean, obviously we're kind of discounting that it was the tools they used, but some sort of like just constant like I guess you'd say vibration would cause the rock itself inside it to have those micro fractures. I think that's a kind of a huge point.
I mean, it makes sense what you're saying. It's just I wish I knew more about how to read this type of a graph.
Yeah, that's
what
true.
does yellow indicate, and obviously it's dis, but what is this is kind of what I'm wondering.
What is this?
Yeah, what is this?
AOR. It's like, because I'd like to know what the significance of the colors are, and if it means like like you're talking about, is it significant because the vibrations of the micro fractures that you're talking about like are extremely small? Is that the significance, or what does the the difference between the colors mean? That'll be something interesting to kind of look further into, but I don't know. That one was a little difficult for me to kind of grasp my perception around. And then this next one points out the statue of Ramesses II is more than just an artifact. It's a symbol of human achievement. It shows how art can transcend time. Yeah, I mean, nothing to disagree with there. That's the end of the thread, but there was a comment I wanted to touch base on.
Was that a Bitcoin around its neck?
Yep.
Yeah, that's not the one that I was looking for. Oh, here we go. Bear with me for a moment. Oh, never mind. Lost it. Well, anyway, I think this one was just important, just to highlight, some science behind why this, among many others,
Yeah.
there are so many different anomalies around Egypt, and the stonework is one of the most profound, in my opinion, of like how.
I was just gonna say.
Go ahead.
My bad. Sorry. I was just gonna say the same thing. It's another example of just some incredibly impressive work. That we're not really sure how it was done, but continue to find things of that high quality. In a time when they supposedly didn't have the tools to make it.
Yeah. It's kind of hard to argue though when you look at things like that, right? And Stezo, you were telling me this, I need to start saving that
the Mohs scale for other things.
We
come across something that in the videos before and we didn't have that, and that would have been nice to refer to.
No, it would be. And like I'm sure we're gonna use that again coming up. We're gonna try to do, I think, a bit more of this ancient civilization stuff. And we've kind of beat the hammer, or beat the nail enough on I think UAPs and aliens. I think that's part of the reason why we were feeling a little burned out. Just given all the drones, and it was just an oversaturation. I think.
Shit.
And that's going to be always something that we talk about, right? It's just, but
doesn't mean we can't cover aliens or whatever when it's something actually important or interesting comes up. But ancient
right
civilization
now
will be a nice break.
It will, and so that's kind of, I think, moving forward, that's going to be a little bit more of our focus as of right now. I thought this was a great topic.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there was a lot for us to kind of unpack and behind the scenes and discuss. And I was happy I found it. What's up?
Yeah, Egypt has a lot of content and mysteries that we can delve into, and
not even just Egypt, surround that whole area.
Oh yeah, the whole area.
Egypt. There's so Turkey. There's so many different areas around there that we can start diving into. But listen, gentlemen, this was it's always a fun time chatting about this stuff with you guys. And whoever ends up at this video, appreciate you watching. consider a subscribe and a like, and we'll see you next video.
Join the Discord.
Yeah, join the
later.
Discord as well. We have fun in there.